What's going on, everyone? It's Marco Hanna, and this is my review of Apple's brand new 12-inch Retina MacBook. It's a lot of things I just said, but let's get into it. So if you haven't heard about the brand new Apple MacBook, well, A, you're living under a rock, and 2, you might just not be a Mac person. But anyway, this is the most beautiful Apple MacBook I've ever seen in my life. I don't know why. I can't even look at my 15-inch MacBook Pro anymore because it looks just too old now and outdated. This thing is unbelievably thin. It's unbelievably light. It's literally the ultra portable laptop. I mean, this is more ultra portable than anything I've ever used before. I mean, I even consider a 13-inch MacBook Pro an ultra portable. This is beyond that. And I'll talk about that in just a little bit, but technically, I'm not really supposed to like this laptop because, well, it's really underpowered. Only has a 1.1 gigahertz Intel Core M processor. There's no fan. The motherboard's really small. It has 8 gigabytes of RAM, which is actually pretty good, and has 256 gigabytes of solid-state memory. And all of that really sounds okay, but it's really that processor. It's really tiny. It's a mobile processor. It has no fan. And, well, I mean, you're not going to be doing any 4K content editing on here. You're not going to be doing much of anything other than web browsing and maybe a couple games and stuff. But we're talking about very limited stuff here. We're talking about first-generation MacBook Air. That's how limited this computer is in terms of performance, but somehow I just love this thing. The first thing we should do is talk about the things that I liked while using this laptop. And first thing is, well, that display. It's a 12-inch Retina display. It's beautiful. 2304 by 1440 resolution, around 240 ppi in pixels per inch, and it looks great. Now, it is slightly warmer than the MacBook Pro Retina display, but it's really very noticeable only if you have those two head-to-head and you're looking at both displays at the same time. But it's miles, and I mean miles, better than the MacBook Air display, and it just looks really crispy and really pixel dense, and I definitely love looking at the display. And to me, it doesn't really seem like it's affecting battery life at all because taking it at school, I can have around 9 hours of on-screen time, or 9 hours of usage time with this MacBook. The next thing that I do like about this new MacBook is just the design and overall feel of this thing. They've got rid of the actual plastic bit that held the hinge onto the laptop and the display, and it just looks a whole lot more clean, and the space gray is absolutely dope. The third thing that I like about this laptop is, well, there is no fan inside of it, so that means you're never going to have a fan making noise. Now, that could be a bad thing, which I'll explain a little later on in this video, but overall, in terms of using it at school or using it in the car or whatever, I mean, you're never going to make any noise, you're never going to feel any airflow coming out of the laptop, and it just seems like a much more nicer machine to use without having a fan or moving part inside of it. Now, the fourth thing is really how lightweight this thing. This whole thing weighs 2 pounds, which is basically double the iPad, but you can do so much more on this than you can do on an iPad, well, because it's a laptop and it's running macOS 10. And the last thing I like about this new MacBook is, well, USB-C. And one of the reasons why USB-C is so cool is you could power it from almost anything. So you no longer have to be next to an AC charger. So if you have a 10,000 milliamp hour external battery, you can hook this thing straight up to the MacBook and charge it. That is super cool. Now, the last thing that I really liked using this MacBook is the speakers. Now, I don't know how and why, but this MacBook has the best sounding speakers of any MacBook. Better than my 15-inch MacBook, better than my 13-inch MacBook, probably better than the 17-inch MacBook Pro from like 4 years ago. It's really, really good. Now it's time to talk about the things that I didn't like on the brand new MacBook, and there are quite a few. First of all, you can't really do anything that's super intensive. Now, of course, you can try to edit 4K, and I'm sure that it can cut a little bit of 4K on Final Cut Pro, but it's definitely not going to be a workhorse machine. You're not going to be editing or making Multimedia 4D or Adobe After Effects or anything like that. It's just not going to work very well on this MacBook. And that goes on to my second thing. Because there is no fan inside this new MacBook, it can overheat, and when it does overheat, it will reduce the performance to nothing. I mean, we're talking about really, really disastrously slow performance when your MacBook is overheated. Now, that won't really happen if you use it the way it's really intended for, in terms of browsing the web, watching YouTube videos, and just basically browsing the web and doing apps. That's all it really is meant to do. The next thing that I didn't like on the MacBook is the lack of any other ports. You have one USB Type-C port, and that's fine and dandy until you want to charge and then maybe plug in a USB flash drive. You can't. One, you can't plug in a USB flash drive because you need an adapter, and then you would need a different adapter because you would have to charge your MacBook and then plug in that adapter into the USB-C port and then plug that stuff in, and then if you want to put an SD card, you have a different adapter. So basically, you end up with a backpack full of one MacBook and then like 65 different adapters and different dongles that go into those adapters so you can have a workable computer. That does not make any darn sense. Why couldn't we have a second USB Type-C port on the other side and ditch the 3.5mm headphone jack? Because, well, I think a lot of people have Bluetooth headphones and that works really fine. And the next thing that I didn't like while using my MacBook was actually the keyboard. Now, they've changed the mechanism and there's a whole lot less travel, and honestly, over the past week and a half, I just haven't been able to get used to it very fast because I'm so used to a normal travel keyboard that I have with my laptop here or my desktop here and my 15-inch MacBook Pro. This keyboard is fine and I like it, but it just feels really strange. And well, I've made much more typos on this laptop than anything else. The last thing that I didn't like while using the MacBook is the 480p camera. Now, you heard me correctly, 480p, which means it's a 0.3 megapixel sensor, and that just absolutely sucks. It's unacceptable in 2015. I mean, things like the Moto E come with a 480p front-facing camera, so why can't we even have 720p on this MacBook? I really don't know. I'm guessing we just had a surplus and they wanted to get rid of all those little 480p chips that they had from the last generation MacBook, and well, they stuck him in here. Now, to kind of wrap up all of my thoughts here is the MacBook is a very good laptop if you only want to browse the web and do things such as that. It's a very expensive laptop starting at $1,300, and that's a whole lot of money for not a whole lot of performance, and that's just typically what happens in first generation products. I'm guessing next year they'll have a second USB Type-C port, they'll have faster models, they'll have better heat management, they'll have better everything with the next generation MacBook, but something inside of me just tells me that I really, really, really like this laptop, and I just don't know why. Now, am I going to keep this laptop? I'm not exactly sure. I like it. If I was going to keep it, I am going to exchange it with Space Gray because this gold is absolutely hideous. So I want to hear what you guys think about this new MacBook in the comment section below, so make sure to leave those comments there, and also give this video a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the PhoneDog YouTube channel. And as always, my name is Marco Hanna from PhoneDog.com. I'll catch you guys in the next video.